the most important question of all, in a fantasy series full of dragons and ice zombies, is the most unbelievable element Tyrion's ability to handle his liquor?
No, I don't think so.
We'll see, my friend. We'll see. Now, don't get me wrong, Tyrion's drinking isn't the kind of behavior that I'm gonna defend here. Heck, when most of my friends were in college out drinking at parties, no joke, I was trying to start a show choir. Yeah, talk about regrettable life decisions. And I was sober! Suffice it to say that I can't estimate how drunk Tyrion is from any kind of personal experience, so I'll try to prove how drunk he is in the best way that I know how. Science! And some history. And maybe a few leaps of theorist logic, but mostly science. So the first thing that we're gonna need to do if we're gonna calculate the level of Tyrion's intoxication is determine exactly what he's drinking. Game of Thrones watchers might know some of these wines by name, like Arbor Gold, Arbor Red, and Dornish Red, but what would the real-world equivalents of these be? It's actually a tricky question since the popular types and strengths of wine have changed throughout history, and fans of Game of Thrones argue about when exactly the series should be set. Well, the knee-jerk reaction to castles, knights, and dragons would be to put it into the medieval period, which lasted from the 5th century to the mid-15th century. Based on my research, Game of Thrones is actually taking place a bit later than that. Sure, George R.R. Martin has said that part of the inspiration for the series was the English War of the Roses, which took place from 1455 to 1487, but there's one piece of evidence that guarantees the events of the show are happening at least 50 years after those dates. And for as unimportant as 50 years might seem, that little difference matters. In medieval times, most wine was relatively weak. We're talking somewhere between grape juice and Mike's Hard Lemonade. And that may sound like a joke, but it's not, because by the 16th century, people had discovered a new and magical technology that helped them age wine and preserve it so it would get stronger. That crucial piece of technology and the evidence proving the dates that we're hanging out in Westeros during Game of Thrones is this. Yep. A cork. In season 1, the wine merchant who tries to poison Daenerys pulls a cork out of the cask and talks about the need to, quote,